The Financial Times reporting this morning that Apple may be spending much more on Apple TV Plus content than they had originally said. Price tag, $6 billion. That's what the Financial Times is saying. But our next guest source says that that number may be incorrect and may, in fact, be billions less. Joining us right now on the Squawk Newsline is Dylan Byers. He is the senior media reporter for NBC News, and he is contradicting that FT report this morning. Dylan, what can you tell us?
Yeah, well, what my sources tell me is that the number is actually significantly less, and I don't mean like a rounding error. I mean, by billions. I think what is significant here, one of the problems is that we tend to sort of see the amount of money that media companies spend on original content as somehow being indicative about the success of their long-term strategy. And the fact of the matter is that despite the fact that Apple, Netflix, HBO, Amazon are all launching streaming services or have streaming services, they're actually in very different businesses. And Apple is not in the Netflix business. It is not in the Disney Plus business. It does not need to spend billions and billions of dollars to amass a vast content library of original content. What it needs to do is create enough original content that it can create a video platform that it can bundle with Apple Music, with Apple Games, with Apple, the Apple credit card, the iCloud, and create a service that basically keeps customers inside the greater Apple universe, keeps them on Apple hardware, keeps them using Apple software.
Dylan, one of the things we've been debating this morning, though, is reportedly this service is going to cost $9.99 when it launches. At least according to some reports, there should be only 5 shows that they would launch with that. And relative to a Disney Plus or relative to a Netflix, which obviously has a vast library of content, and the fact that they are selling these products, at least it seems like independently of each other, meaning Apple Music will be sold a la carte versus this would be sold a la carte versus iCloud storage would be sold a la carte, whether that is enough content to attract and persuade people not only to buy it for a month, but to stay there.
And the answer is no, it is probably not. And what I would say is I don't, based on my conversations with sources, I don't put a lot of stock in that $9.99 figure either. I think we're going to see a sort of more complex rollout where you're going to have free trials and tiered systems where there will be some sort of bundle over time. And then also Apple is going to, yes, it's going to start with just a handful of shows and it will roll out more shows over time. But again, I think the big picture here is that Apple is not, this is not just, an original content play in the sense of like a Netflix service. This is about giving added value to that larger Apple experience that, like you said, includes music, includes games, includes all of the other services that Apple offers. Exactly how they roll that out, my anticipation based off of these conversations I've had is that we'll get more details on that in the days and weeks ahead.
And is that a September launch? You think that's an October launch? Some of the reports are suggesting November, and yet you're seeing promotions already, and Tim Cook tweeting it out yesterday, that trailer for the new morning show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon.
That's right. It is definitely within that time period of the next 2 to 3 months, whether it's September or October, I don't know. I think we tend to believe that Apple sort of rolls out these ideas as if they're fully formed. I think everything about how Apple has entered the streaming space and the original content space has actually been sort of much more, it's been much more ad hoc, and they've sort of experimented here, rolled out things slowly, not necessarily when they first announced a lot of these shows, they didn't even have trailers ready for them. So I think Apple is sort of moving at its own pace here, and you can read that as a signal that, oh, maybe Apple isn't ready, maybe Apple isn't serious about original content, maybe Apple doesn't actually know what it's doing in this area. I don't think they fundamentally believe that. I think that they are very seriously committed to this original content play, again, as a piece of the larger offering to Apple users and Apple customers.
Fair enough. Dylan, thanks for joining us this morning. Really appreciate your perspective in the news this morning. You bet.